Yeah, so today we are also launching a report on media freedoms in Southeast Asia, Repeal Restrictive Laws, Strength, Quality Journalism. So this report was drafted by Asia Centers with support from the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedoms. I would now like to invite Vanessa Steinmetz, Regional Project Coordinators of the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedoms, to give her remarks on the reports. So Vanessa, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. Congratulations to everyone, to the finalists and to the top 3 winners. I'm very happy to see your contributions, and yeah, thank you very much for the very important work that you do, and I hope to see a lot more within the next years from you, yeah, in the same quality. Thank you very much also for having me here, for giving me the opportunity to say a few words about our report that we launched together with Asia Center. Just a few words about Friedrich Naumann Foundation for those of you who haven't heard from us yet. We are a political foundation from Germany. We are affiliated with the Liberal Party in Germany, who is now also part of the new formed government in Germany. And our main goals here in we are based, our regional office is based in Thailand, but we have offices all around the world in 60 countries, and our work we try to promote democracy especially, but also human rights, economic freedom, and also media freedom. And one of our projects from the last year has been a journalist training program, and I'm very excited to see that 2 of our participants were also amongst the top 10 finalists, which are Gila and Marielle. So congratulations to you too. I've seen the whole process of your work and super proud that we could support you to make this happen, your investigation. So our journalism project was so well received that we also decided to have another round in 2022. So for those of you who would like to participate in the next round of this year, I can already share with you a little bit what it is about. So we try to support freelance journalists from the region, Southeast and East Asia, to really have an in-depth investigation about a specific topic, a specific report that they would like to do. And last year we were able to get Sheila Coronel as a trainer, who also supervised the process and gave a little bit of directions and hints to get an even better result in the end. And I think she did a fantastic job, but I mean, first and foremost, the journalists who joined our program. And I hope to see the same enthusiasm in our next participants of 2022. Yes. But this is not the only project that we do to cover very important issue of media freedom. As I said, together with Asia Center, we are happy to launch our report, which is entitled Media Freedom in Southeast Asia, Repeal Restrictive Laws, Strengthen Quality Journalism. And it's a in-depth analysis about the challenges that journalists, especially in the region Southeast Asia, are facing these days. Just a little bit of a background. I have been working as a journalist myself. I've worked for Spiegel Online, which is the biggest news outlet in Germany. I've been there for about 10 years before I joined the foundation. And so I know a little bit about the challenge that journalism can face, even though in Germany it's a whole different story than it is in Southeast Asia, especially today, where you see more illiberal democracies rise and where you also see a lot of restrictions because of the pandemic. What we emphasized in our report as well was the impact that the digitalization has on journalism, especially in Southeast Asia. which is twofolded. On the one side, you can see that the classic gatekeeper are not as important anymore, which also enables a lot of more people to get out information, to get out their stories on different platforms, on different channels, which is great to see that you're not dependent on to have a big media outlet to support you. You can also do it very on your own. On the other side, what we see and what you also, I'm sure, witnessed a lot is a lot of disinformation, and which also makes it very hard for journalists to navigate, first of all, and also you see that a lot of consumers are more torn into believing whatever comes their way, which would only reflect their worldview and maybe not trust people who are more checking the facts. So it is more and more difficult to really make sure that people understand what quality journalism is and why it is so important to have all of the facts and to have a thorough investigation about not only one side of the story, but all sides of the story. So yeah, I'm very happy that with Asia Center, we could work on this very important topic, which also is about the new regulations in the time of this COVID pandemic, and also about the governments who exploit these laws to further diminish media freedom. James will tell you a little bit more about our main findings in a second. I would like to stress out that this report that we are launching today should only be the starting point of a bigger debate about what are your challenges in your work as journalists in Southeast Asia, and how can we overcome these. So not only see what are the problems, but also what could be solutions, and what are recommendations that we could give out to strengthen your work, to help you, to support you, to be able to work under better and more free conditions. And that's what I hope for all of us, basically. So thank you very much again for having us. Thank you for the opportunity to launch our report today. And yeah, back to you, James.
Thank you very much, Vanessa, for the introduction and outline. First of all, here's the report. It's the physical copy, but it's available digitally, so you will see that in your inbox shortly. I'll just quickly go through the report now, just a few minutes, just to give you the top highlights. But essentially what we are saying in the report is that, the media landscape has changed. And it has changed primarily because the internet has gone, the media has gone online, and it's being disseminated over social media. Now, what this means is governments, including, are losing the plot. They are losing their ability to control the narrative. And because they are unable to control the narrative, especially when media is being disseminated and shared online, they are using a suite of laws that we call the anti-fake news laws. And these laws are found in the penal codes, or specific fake news laws, or cybercrime laws, as well as the recent COVID-19 temporary laws and use of emergency measures. In doing so, they are creating a great impact on media freedoms throughout the region. And the report ends with a few key recommendations. Let me just quickly share with you some numbers. You can see, as far as the Press Freedom Index is concerned, quite a few countries in the region remain stagnant in very, very low ranking, or their ranking has decreased. Very few countries have improved their ranking. Is that even the few that have improved their rankings, they are still very, very low in the ranking. Now, that's on the left. On the right, you will see that censorship has been increasing consistently. Thailand censorship has increased, Malaysia censorship has increased, Censorship is bad, but has remained constant in Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, and Vietnam. It continues to be weak in places like Brunei, Singapore, and the Philippines. Now, specifically about internet freedoms, as the media, shifts online, you will see that freedoms have dropped. So across the last 5 years, most countries, right, have dropped in their ranking in internet freedoms, and that's where the nub is. The internet freedom rankings have dropped partly because governments have used disinformation as an excuse. So these are the types of disinformation that we see in the landscape, like clickbait, disinformation, scams, we see hate speech, we see political disinformation, we also see foreign government disinformation, not only in the region, but around the world. So because these forms of genuine disinformation do exist, governments have moved to use laws, and they've used penal codes, fake news bill, cybercrime laws, and COVID-19 and emergency laws. But what is the nub? The research shows the nub is governments are using these laws to punish media organizations and journalists who critically call out bad government policies. Right? Governments in the region are very, very thin-skinned. The minute you criticize their policies or you criticize their mismanagement of COVID-19, they come after you using these different types of laws, all in the name of dealing with fake news. So what is the impact? So what are really journalists feeling? We've seen a higher incident of persecution of journalists. Female journalists in particular have come under great attack. Media outlets have been shut down. There have been attacks on journalists association that speak up for the industry, speak up for media workers. There has been a shift to self-censorship by journalists and media organizations. And as a result, there's also been a decline of quality journalism. So this is what the report maps up. We have some key recommendations, leveled at international organization. For example, we asked member states to highlight this in their UPR recommendations. We ask special rapporteurs to keep an eye on developments. We ask governments, don't attack journalists, but rather support them, strengthen them, provide, verified information and support, moves towards quality journalism. We ask technology companies not to feed into the hate and use algorithms to, spread fake news. We ask journalist associations to do more for their journalists. I mean, they are already doing a lot, but still under very, very difficult circumstances. And we ask journalists, content curators, and media organizations to come together as a voice to speak up on some of the challenges facing journalists today. So once again, these are the key findings of the report. The report is available online, and over the next year, in partnership with the Friedrich Naumann Foundation, as well as colleagues here, the journalists, we hope to convene a range of activities such as, marking World Press Freedom Day, 2nd November, impunity against for crimes against journalists, as well as curate a series of podcasts as well as infographics, so we can spread the findings of this report further. And as we likely would travel around the region, we hope to be able to meet face to face and also perhaps have some local convenings around the region. So I'll stop here and perhaps pass the time back to Nalin.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. James. So, and thank you to Vanessa as well for your remarks. So next, I would like to invite the following journalists, Terminas, Mises, and Nipunas to give their reactions to the report and perhaps share with us their challenge, the challenge that journalists face for like 1 or 2 minutes. So may I please start with Terminas? Terminas, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that overview of the brand new report. Thank you, Nalindra, for handing it over. And I must say that as a working journalist in Malaysia and also one of the journalists who, via the Institute of Journalists Malaysia, has been a part of the anchoring effort to ensure that we set up a Malaysian Media Council, all of the outcomes that the report has come up with resonate very deeply with the type of actions happening around media restrictions and controls, particularly since the start of the pandemic. Now, Malaysia, perhaps a little bit uniquely, we also did have the collapse of a democratically elected government early on towards the beginning of the pandemic itself. We've actually had one more successive change of an undemocratically elected government since then. We are anticipating elections within this year itself. And it all really draws back to the manner in which media freedoms and freedom of expression, particularly for independent media as well as investigative journalism outlets, have been clamped down upon increasingly. We were also one of the countries which was slapped with not only the anti-fake news laws, but also severe restrictions upon journalists and media organizations which are not state broadcasters or friendly towards the state from covering crucial pandemic-related as well as parliamentary sittings. So each and every one of the fundamentals which the report points towards is actually our lived reality as journalists in Malaysia. And it definitely points to the need for not only civil society, but also education and awareness organizations such as Asia Center and partners to also be helping to lead the charge. Because when it comes down to individual journalists, there is not very much that can be done, particularly within certain Southeast Asian countries whereby media freedom, freedom of expression, just like in Malaysia, is actually restricted by 34 or so laws and sub-laws. So basically, this is something that is a historical outcome, a lot of it because of the colonial legacies of lawmaking that we have been left with. But at the same time, the struggle continues, and particularly in the space of online reporting, as well as pandemic-related reporting, we are seeing movement, but it's critical that we are reminded constantly and consistently of the need to continually voice out so that journalism and ethical journalism is not lost within the lawmaking. Thank you. That's my response. Back to you, Nalindra.
Okay, thank you very much for your response, Femina. So next, may I please quickly invite Nipunas Kumbarataras to give his response to the report. So Nipuna, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nalindra. It's a great report and it's a timely report. In many ways, it states the obvious, but we cannot stop speaking about the issues. I think James and Tamina spoke about some of the things I was going to talk about too. So I'm going to stick to 2 points. One, I find it's an oxymoron that national security is used as an excuse to repress media freedoms and freedom of expression. For me, and this is a discussion I've had with journalists and activists and others again and again, is that national security should be about the security of the nation. The nation is the people, and safeguarding the people, their rights and environment should be strengthening national security. So that means really, instead of repressing media and activism, the governments really should invest in building media freedom of expression and healthy public discourse for national well-being. So if instead of talking about national security that's driven by petty political or commercial interests, which seems to be the case, the governments need to invest on discourse around public goods, climate crisis, political capture or corruption, and things like. And really the idea that free and open discussions should be clamped down, that's really ridiculous. But really it's because the guise of national security is used to protect a few that have power. And the report talks about it, unpacks the recommendations for governments and international organizations, tech companies and journalists and so on. For me, something that's important, something that I would like to see future discussions about. Tamina, I'm glad that you talked about educational institutions and others, but how do you actually bring in people beyond the civil society organizations who are already active? I say that being in the sector for a decade and a half, I see the distrust in media growing, along with the distrust with international organizations and NGOs. Even in Thailand, there was a NEDA survey which kind of put NGOs trust of NGOs by people at a low level. And from Reuters survey, we know that trust of media isn't that high either. So I think we need to kind of engage people in the discourse for media freedom and the discourse for freedom of expression more broadly. And I think that's a challenge both media and our sector, the international sector, has. So thank you, James, Robin and Asia Center team and the foundation for producing this report. And I look forward to the recommendations of this report being discussed broadly and hopefully us making progress towards freedom of press and freedom of activism for a fairer Asia.
Okay.
Thank you. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nipunas. And yeah, next, may I please invite Nisei to give your response to the report. So Nisei, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Nalendra, for this. And also thank you to everyone. And once again, congratulations to those who got to the 3 finalists. And also, I think let me have my own reaction on the study reports conducted by the Asia Center with the support from Friedrich Naumann Foundation. I think this report really essential in highlighting key issue, especially formidable threats and challenges facing media and press freedom in the regions amid rising digital transformation, like James already mentioned, as well as Tamina and also Nipuna also mentioned as well. Trust issue happening while the government continue to clamp down on the rise and the freedom, especially journalists. But backtracking democracy we all have seen in Southeast Asia. Cambodia in particular has seen the same trends and tendencies of this kind of response, especially during the COVID-19. And what I really am interested in the most is on how the report also highlight the problem involves the issue of quality journalism. From my own experience in managing in newsrooms and dealing with different issues involving productions and how we can make use of what we call entrepreneurial journalism, we are facing not only just the risk posed by the government itself and the issue that we try to deal with to survive, but also it seems like I would say we're fighting 2 fronts with the declines of income and ensuring that our right and freedom as a journalist are guaranteed or not taken away. And the trust issue also another problem that we see creating a lot of problem for us. But quality journalism really is going to be the key to making sure that we're going to survive with this kind of thing. And of course, with people understanding their rights and freedom, media literacy also play a greater role, but it requires all of us to take lead in achieving so. I think it happens not only just in Cambodia, but different places across the world. And also the report also offers encouragements and for other stakeholders to engage in meaningful discussion. I would say, like Nipuna had mentioned, we're looking forward to a more and broader discussions of this recommendation made by the Asia Center and within the report, and how we can tackle these challenges and promote the media freedom in the future. This is the most important elements of a free and democratic society, and perspective from different stakeholders also taken into account, and how we can build this better freedoms of journalism and also media in particular. But I want to stress this only can happen with your all media practitioners out there, your endless effort, dedication, and contribution. And media practitioner alone might not be enough, but the stakeholder like Asia Center, Friedrich Naumann Foundation also play a critical role in making this and supporting the process as well. So I hope that we will be doing this together in the year to come to make sure that we can build a better society with greater freedom of expression, media freedom, and also the other freedom that matter to every one of us. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Nisei. So thank you to all the journalists to make the response. So before we wrap up, is there any panelist or speaker would like to make any comments on the report? Okay, so if no, I would like to mention a little bit on the report. So as Dr. James mentioned previously, the report is available for downloads on Asia Center website. So please feel free to check it out and share with your colleagues. And also do follow us on social media for more interesting baseline study and report. And yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, so that's the end of our event today. I would like to take this opportunity to express my special thanks to Oxfam colleagues for sharing this space with Asia Centers and the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedom to launch the report. And yeah, thank you to colleagues from Friedrich Naumann Foundations for freedoms, those who are on the online platforms and guests present here as well. And to all the finalists and the journalists who participate, the online guests, and it's wonderful to have all of you here. And thank you very much and goodbye. Yeah. Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.